Hello, kia ora, g'day. I'm Philip Duncan from Weather Watch TV on YouTube with your Australia-only forecast right through till Sunday. Let's have a look and see what's going on. We've got some tropical life up here, as we've been talking about for a while. It's been borderline for a couple of weeks, which is why we keep mentioning the risk of a cyclone, but one hasn't necessarily formed. Although the Joint Typhoon Warning Centre, which is a big global forecaster for tropical weather, said that a cyclone formed here a couple of days ago. Bureau of Meteorology keeps bumping out when they're going to name it, but it's here in the sort of Kimberley region. There's more low pressure hanging around, and we could be seeing more severe thunderstorms and potentially another area of low pressure, as we mentioned the other day. Elsewhere, some severe thunderstorms in the southwest corner of Western Australia. Otherwise, not a lot going on, some cloud and showers moving around, but fairly dry around Australia. Here is the air pressure map. So we'll start with that tropical low. This is the one here off the Kimberley coastline. Now the Bureau of Meteorology still expects it to get to a Category 3 severe cyclone, tracking away from land though. But it may curve around and still come back, not necessarily as a cyclone, but producing thunderstorms and showers for parts of the Kimberley, possibly the Pilbara. Here is the other low. Now this one, if it comes into the Gulf of Carpentaria and gets the right conditions, may form into a cyclone. Very borderline. I'd give it about a 40% confidence at this stage. Otherwise, the most dominant feature on the map, high pressure in the southeast, even offshore from Tasmania, that far southeast. So that's encouraging, between that one south of Tassie and the other one over Lord Howe Island, basically encouraging the southeasterly flow into Queensland, parts of New South Wales as well, but it's not very strong around New South Wales. Most of the high pressure is in that southeast corner. And of course, you've got the low around Western Australia bringing rain and thunderstorms, and they may actually get a little more intense over the next couple of days. So let's have a look here. That low basically falls apart around Western Australia. We've seen a couple of those ones that have done that recently, but the instability is still there, even though the low's kind of gone. So that's why you're still seeing a few showers. The tropical low out here, when you zoom out, doesn't look like much. When you zoom in, the air pressure is down to the 970s. So that's a decent storm, but it's clearly offshore. And then we've got more low pressure up here, more towards Papua New Guinea and going into Indonesia, but it's nothing yet. It's still not formed into a storm. The only low that is a storm is this one out here. It isn't a tropical cyclone. It's not likely to be one, although it is in that kind of marginal state, but it is moving directly southwards towards Norfolk Island, where you will likely get a burst of rain and wind because that low is deepening as it tracks southwards. Last thing, eastern showers continue on. I've had a few complaints from Queensland about how sick of the wet weather you are. Cloudy, showery, everything's damp, and it's not necessarily producing huge rainfall totals, but it's the repetitive nature of it. Unfortunately, that doesn't really end here over the next couple of days. Still got southeasterly winds or easterlies coming in, still showers. Not as hot and humid. The red line, north of that is the tropical weather. See how it's being pulled down past further south than Norfolk Island, very close to New Zealand. So that's deepening, producing some heavy rain and wind around Norfolk and maybe even Lord Howe Island. But by the time you come into the mainland, those winds ease off, but still got some showers. Sydney, Canberra don't look very wet. Melbourne looks mostly dry. Hobart, Adelaide, and I have to say this, everyone in between as well. And then over on the western side, much drier by the time we get into Wednesday. Now further northwards, you've got this low up here. That is still tracking along. It could still be a cyclone, and we're still seeing some low pressure north of the Northern Territory in Queensland. So Thursday, here comes the next burst of thunderstorms in the south here. Places like Esperance, Kalgoorlie, Norseman getting some very heavy rain and severe thunderstorms as we've got weak low pressure further to the north there, and we've still got that low offshore. It's not really affecting land too much, but you do see these showers potentially becoming severe into the afternoon, severe thunderstorms around the coastal sides of the Kimberley and Pilbara, but it doesn't look too big at this stage, and elsewhere, not a great deal of change. By Friday, finally, seeing some drying out weather in the east. The sun should be out more, and the winds are pretty light, not getting that strong southeasterly off the sea anymore. Calm conditions basically all the way up to the very top. But now you can see that low in the Gulf of Carpentaria. Now that's starting to spin. Doesn't look major yet, but it doesn't take much for them to get into a Category 1 type of level, unless of course it's this one, which has been taking days to get to it. At the other end of the country, southern end, you can see here the next big high rolling in, so that's pulling in a southerly flow to the coastline. South Australia may see a few showers, a few, Not necessarily a lot, but remember we've still got that energy from Western Australia that's drifting eastwards. That could help produce a few isolated showers and thunderstorms, but otherwise not a lot to talk about. Certainly not talking much about Tasmania at the moment. Pretty dry, but showers return here for you on Friday and maybe a few more onto Saturday. But the good news here, Victoria gets a chance of some wet weather. The timing's not perfect. A lot of you, the city viewers in particular, don't necessarily care if it rains that much, but having it fall on a Saturday is maybe not the greatest. But if you're in need of rain, you probably don't care what day of the week it is. So we are seeing some wet weather here. Southerlies coming through, mixing with some warmer inland weather. We might see a few heavier falls, a thunderstorm or two in there. Good luck. Fingers crossed you get some showers around South Australia where it's desperately needed. Elsewhere, pretty dry and sunny. Stays that way into Sunday as well in the east. Those eastern populated areas of Australia seeing a much drier forecast, and those winds have gone, so calm conditions. Now, let's start with Western Australia. We'll make our way southwards. Low pressure up here, that's the leftovers of the cyclone. You can see here those heavy falls. Those are the thunderstorms that are possible coming into the Kimberley, the Pilbara regions, maybe the Gascoyne as we start to see that move in. Otherwise, easterly winds come in for the rest of Western Australia. Dry, warm, sunny. On the other side, different story. Southerlies coming through, temperatures are down. It feels like autumn. Heavy falls, some thunderstorms as that tracks on through, and yes, some rain relief. Not huge for everybody, but some rain relief for South Australia and Victoria as we go through the week. And coming into the ACT and up towards Sydney, we'll be getting some of those showers coming through, maybe not even until the very end of Sunday or even coming into Monday. Let's have a look now at the rainfall. This is through until Sunday. Heaviest rain in the blues around the purple, so that's the cyclone here offshore. It might brush areas near Broome. It's a little borderline, but it is possible. And the other low up here, mostly offshore, so not really predicting much in the way of rain yet from that. Elsewhere, eastern coastline, seeing more of those showers, mostly this week, as we just saw, it fades out around the weekend. But you are seeing some decent totals from around the Sydney area all the way up to the Sunshine Coast. Obviously the normal rainfall in the far north. But the good news is actually what we're seeing in southern areas from Western Australia, South Australia, Victoria. Now look, if you're in the northern or northwestern corner of Victoria, you're not seeing much in the way of rain. Southwestern corner, you are seeing a little higher rainfall totals, 15 to 20 millimetres there. Maybe similar story around Adelaide to Kangaroo Island, but it is a little bit messy. Not everyone's going to get it as exactly as it looks here, but there are some chances of rain in some of our driest areas as we go through the next week. That's all from me. We'll see you again on Thursday with our next Australia Only update. Have a great week ahead.